You can open up a mic if you'd like.
Find your roof leaks.
Amen. Amen to that. You find, and not only roof leaks, take a look at my example here. And this is real. In a warehouse property, each and every time it rained, a couple of vacant spaces that I had puddles on the floor. And I couldn't figure out what was going on because the drop ceiling was dry and there were no apparent roof leaks. So you will never believe what the solution to this was. I am asking, does anybody want to take a guess at what the issue was?
Humidity.
Say it again.
Humidity.
No, it wasn't humidity. Take a look at the next slide. Good guess, though. Also shows if dock doors are tight. I know that's right, Jim. Drainage. Let me tell y'all what the issue was. Glaze. Are you all familiar with windows? Anybody familiar with the wide world of windows? Don't glaze over your windows. Simply change the channel. See right there in this office building? Office buildings have channels around the glass windows, and we do call that glazing. The windows are your glazing. These channels aren't just there to be decorative and to hold in the actual, glass. They are there to wick the water away from the building and usher it all the way back down to the sidewalk. And the channels were installed backwards. So every time it rained, the water would come down and let itself out, not on the sidewalk, but in my warehouse instead. So it turns out that the channeling was put in backwards. Who would have figured that out? It's just one of those things that you don't ever learn until you got to go through it. So let me say this to all of you who do want to understand buildings better. The more raggedy it is, the better of a place it is to learn. The more problems it's got, the better of a place it is to learn. Starting at a Class A property where everything's perfect and new is not where you cut your teeth. You go cut your teeth on the oldest C-class. Thank you, Matthew, my friend. You go get your the oldest, raggediest thing running. That's where you find out all of this stuff. I have managed some of the worst crap in the world, and it was the best teacher. But when you all are walking properties with your sellers, because you need to see stuff like that, because a buyer is going to ask you the same question. What's up with these leaks in here? You're going to need an answer. And if you don't know, get back with that property manager and find out, hey, can you shed a little light on this and fix it? Let's not skip over it just because it's vacant. Get her fixed. How's everybody doing so far? I see them eyelids, those after lunch eyelids. Everybody okay? Here we go. Owner information, blueprints, surveys, plats, plots, plans, all this good stuff. Floor plate side, there's so much to know. I will say this, when we get a hold of plans, we need them certified by architects. I take no hand drawings, period. I don't want any hand drawn anything. I need stuff certified. We've discussed this, I believe, but who knows what an MEP is? And please just shout it out. What's an MEP?
Mechanical, electrical, plumbing.
Exactly. How do you know which set of drawings you're looking at? When we see drawings, how do you know which one is which?
Like color.
Say it again. Guys, I know this is a lot of property management.
It will indicate it. The blueprints, normally you'll see it on the first page. They have their logo all on the sign as MEP, and you could tell which drawings are electrical, plumbing, and HVAC.
What you're going to look for, this is where John was heading, is when you get a large blueprint and everybody rolls it out and we're all gathered up around the table looking at them, you go to the bottom right-hand corner, and some of them are as big as this, large letter, but you're looking for an M. If you see an M, it may say M1, M2, M3, M4. That's 4 pages of mechanical drawings. So you'll see elevators and escalators and all that good stuff. If you see an E, then you know you're looking at the electrical systems to the building. And if you see P, you'll know those are plumbing drawings. Now, ladies, I'm not trying to talk ill of the men folk in the room. So Ronnie, I ain't calling you out. Miguel is saying about you. Gerald, I ain't trying to say nothing, but women folk in the room. This is where the men might talk around you, over you, and through you like you are not in the room. I'm not a fan. I see some giggling. That means some of you have already experienced it. In commercial, people will either talk to you or past you based on your understanding. If you don't understand, they're still talking and they're gone. So when you're in a meeting and you don't understand, don't say, just say nothing. Just listen, observe, and learn as much as you can. And let me show you something. When it comes to MEPs and drawings and whatnot, this thing saved my life. First of all, I found myself a female contractor. Wonderful woman. They were the ones that built KFCs, Taco Bells, and Pizza Huts. And they had that contract statewide. She was wonderful. But let me show you this book that she recommended I get, and I did get it, and I still have it. And to this day, I have to go back to it. And it has saved my life. I'm gonna skip ahead just a little bit. Go get you one of these. Hold on, let me skip. Skipping, excuse me, skipping. Get you one of these right here. Get you a DeWalt Blueprint Reading Professional Reference Book. So in addition to the books that our friend Matthew suggests, let me tell you something, that thing saved my life. It is no bigger than the size of my whole hand. It is a very small guide. But when people start pointing at symbols and you have no idea if we're looking at a door versus a window versus a toilet. And yes, Raymond, Matthew put the link in, but Matthew, can you put your link back in there for your finance book? Got a request for it there, but this saved me. I needed to understand what we were talking about and what we were looking at, because admittedly, I didn't. It does get important sometimes, depending on your level of depth. When you are in the development side of this thing, and we're talking about building this sucker, they may say, Matthew, come over here real quick and take a look at this. And you're like, oh, Lord, where's my book? But at least you can eyeball something and know a little bit about what you're looking at. So get your reference guide. Peggy, what say you? I see you nodding and confirming. Peggy said, no, not me today. But Carolyn, there y'all go. Benjamin Lotzer just got the Amazon link back up. There you go. Awesome. And Matthew also has a link back up for a real estate book. Got a couple of them in there. Oh, Benjamin put the link for the DeWalt Blueprint Reading book up. Thank you, Benjamin. Thank you very much. Now, who's had experience looking at blueprints and ever been or felt like you were left behind in conversation? Anybody ever been there? Y'all crack me up when y'all sit back. That is hilarious. It's an uncomfortable place to be. And I don't think people mean it sometimes, but again, they will talk past you. Now, what is an as-built? Anybody familiar with the as-built?
It's a blueprint of the existing or the way the space was built prior to the new tenant, something like that. Yeah.
Exactly. Different folks I've found over the years, and y'all feel free to chime in, have used the term as-built a different way. You can look online and look at definitions that say we got approval from the city to build a building a certain way. And in the middle of construction, discovered we can't do that after all. So we made an adjustment, and it'll be done in red ink on a blueprint. And that blueprint might be handed to you. That's the as-built. This is how the building was actually built. Or like Miguel was saying, sometimes you need the as-builts just to a space. How was this space built out? Especially if you have a tenant that occupied the full floor and now someone else wants to occupy it, they may ask to see the as-builts to the floor so they can see where are the walls, where are the doors, where the bathrooms go. So if you ever hear that phrase, I believe it's in your, and I'll put the slide up so you can see it. If you need to photograph it, I think it's in your text, but it is important to know what the as-builts are and to find out if your client has them.
You see it more with the electrical and the plumbing lines.
Yeah,
Those contractors come in and do their thing.
yeah.
You get somebody to come in and check and mark up the drawings to prove where everything really was.
Yeah, exactly. Because not everything isn't always built the way we thought it was going to be built, you know? Stuff happens. So as-built drawings, again, I've heard them used in different ways. And Taryn is telling you he definitely electrical and plumbing. Anybody else have a different experience with an as-built?
I've had a tenant build out and they received as-built plans from the landlord because they're indicated to be what the contractors have built that plaza and that shopping strip to be, but those as-built plans were off too. So you just got to be careful because while they were building out, everything was off by like, inches.
Oh, wow. Absolutely. So the initial set of blueprints may not be where we are today. You never know what happened to a building. I will say this about Sharpstown Mall. It was built in 1961. It was Texas's first air-conditioned, fully enclosed mall. But it was built as a single story. So if you ever got those original drawings for Sharpstown Mall, it's now a two-story building. So whatever the historical drawings are, they don't even fall into place. Your plumbing drawings, where we were going before in conversation, you'll just see a P in the corner to let you know you're looking at plumbing. There may be several pages of plumbing drawings because you may be looking at plumbing for different aspects. Plumbing for bathrooms, plumbing for fire systems, plumbing for HVAC systems. All of these use water and the lines are different. So you may get different pages of a plumbing set of plans for different systems. I don't expect anybody to memorize this, but just know that there's a lot to know. Get to know the property manager. And then
I have a quick thing as far as like, I have a kind of a scattered cellar. And he couldn't find any of his plans and the building was built in 2005 and I have friends at the city. So I went to the city. They have to file all those in order to get the permits and the city was able to put all of it on a nice little flash drive for me. So
how long did it take? And where are you? What city are you in?
that was from the city of Webster. They're very helpful.
Like, that is not typical of Houston. We do not move that fast up and through these parts. I'm like, where are you located? But that's amazing. And you can try to see what's on file publicly, but I would never warranty, oh yes, these are the absolute plans, because too much changes. But get that DeWalt book and learn to study some blueprints. Ask somebody if they've got a copy, or even look at the blueprints for your house if you can. I'm going to gift you all with something because I think you've deserved it. I think you've earned it. And I'm gifting you with a break. Take another one. You deserve one, guys. See you back here at 2:45, my friends. Take yourself a break, get a little business done.
Mish, can I get that last slide from you, please, darling?
Which one? Okay, I got two.
It was the one before that one. That looked good.
Okay, let me see. I have mechanical.
I had the door.
All right.
It was with the picture coming right in the corner down at the bottom.
All right. Hold on. Let me.
It was like the.
Was this one?
I think that's gonna be it. Yeah, that's it. I got the others. Okay, that's it.
And even at this, if you look at this little tiny drawing here, because it's not big enough to really see, that says vent stack. You know, all that stuff. I teach this in the property management class if you ever want to know. So we do.
But I was gonna take your property. I was gonna take. I took it years ago, but I was gonna take. I think it was the 101, but it was on the same day as the first CS class. So
Okay.
I actually was going in to pay for it. They were on the same day, and I was like, God dog it. So I couldn't get in, but I did want to. I am gonna take it though.
Well, come. You know what? I always tell people one more time. You're better off if you learn the building, the thing you're trying to sell. It's helpful. It really is.
Gotcha.
Understand the thing you're trying to sell, you do better.
Okay, and that's in that class.
That's all it's about is property management, looking at the building itself and understanding all of its systems, inner workings, and things you might actually walk past. Peggy, I want to know what Peggy giggling at. Peggy over there tickled to death. Look at Peggy.
All right, I'm gonna let you go. All right, Miss, I'm not gonna hold you up.
No,
Thank
no
you.
worries. No worries. You're not holding me up, y'all.
But you need your breaks too.
You know what? I'm just not feeling good. I just want to sit in my little desk right now and just sit here. You know,
Aw. Well, you look cute sitting
Well,
there,
I'm
so I'm going
trying
on
to.
break.
Well, you know what? I always tell people, and thank you for that, but I always tell people, you know, as much as I appreciate that people care how I feel, nobody paid for a report on how I feel. What y'all paid for was information, and I got to deliver it. Now, I may go fall out when this is over, you know, but
Right?
paid to deliver this, whether I feel great or not, you know? And I'm going to tell you, Candace, this is so stupid. But if you
Sorry about that.
think about people like, uh-oh, I hear baby. If you stop and think
Yeah.
about people like Beyonce or Michael Jackson, they don't have a choice about having the concert. They got to do it. And
That's true.
I'm not a Beyonce, but I'm just saying, if that woman can dance for 2 hours, regardless of how she's feeling, then I can talk to y'all for 7, you know?
You a Beyonce in the PM world.
You know, I'm gonna take
You
that.
a PM Beyonce.
Okay,
You are.
girl, get off the screen. Yes, man. Y'all are too funny. Coming on back in just a couple minutes here, or a minute or so, and come on back. I should have snagged me a cup of coffee and I didn't. Oh, well. Oh, thanks, Gail. Do, 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 do. All right, we're going to move ahead and I'm going to make a small announcement, and I've not ever really done this before, but I think I'm gonna pull rank today. And I ain't never done this in almost 10 years of teaching. We getting up out of here early because I don't feel good. That's all there is to it. All right. I am going to get you through every drop of material that I am obligated to get you through today. I am not shorting anybody any information. Again, I've mentioned it in the past that there are people who feel like when classes end too early that there's something that's been withheld. No withholding. We're gonna get you to the end, y'all. But I am not feeling that great. We will be doing review though, during exam review. And then we're just probably gonna wrap it up maybe just a little earlier than early today because I'm not feeling that great. I gotta admit that. So with all that said, let's get back to it. Because I think we're about 20 minutes ahead of where we're usually at, which is letting you guys out of the room pretty fast. So in your book, I thought this was interesting material, period. I think we're on chapter 4, valuation and appraisals, building design, classifications, and measurements. And all of this stuff that I've been showing you about property management has to do with building design, classifications, and measurements, and all the stuff that is involved in selling improved land. At some point, some of this stuff matters, and what you know about a building is helpful. But there's some interesting information your author decided to share, and what the heck, it's in our PowerPoints today. So what he did was he talked about the ISO, and it's the ISO. Can I just tell you, the Virgo in me did not handle this well. It is the International Organization for Standardization. Many of you are looking at going, Mish, that is the IOS. Don't fight with me, it is the ISO. And the website even says, and I quote from the website, because International Organization for Standardization would have different acronyms in different languages, iOS in English, OIN in French, for Organisation Internationale de Normalisation, however you say that. Our founders decided to give it short form ISO. It is derived from the Greek isos, meaning equal. So whatever the country, we don't care, it is the ISO. So for those of you who are eyeballing that, about to fuss with me, the organization says, you know, hey, no fussing. This is what we're doing because we can't standardize what we call ourselves. And trust me, my nerves were plucked until I found that definition. So according to the ISO, they say that they've got, let's see, 23,428 international standards covering almost all aspects of technology and manufacturing. That is a lot of standards. They've got 165 members representing ISO in their respective country, and there's only one member per country. So they're counting the countries that participate in this organization, not people per se. And then 792 technical committees and subcommittees to take care of developing standards for the industry of construction. This was something That was not part of my field of knowledge, but thanks to the TACS, it is now. So this, I found this very interesting. You want more information about what they do and what they standardize, et cetera? That link down there is good. And I think it's in the book. I'm not sure. Does anybody need to photograph that link? Just in case. See a couple cameras up. Let me give you a second. All right. Give it all right. Here we go. So your book went through some ISO types, and the quiz is going to ask you about one or two of these. So construction types according to fire ratings is what this was about. ISO 1, this one has wood frame walls, floors, and roof deck. Typical applications include multifamily, hospitality, and senior living, fewer than 4 stories, and it should say fewer. I will say this, before we get into a back and forth rabbit hole about what you can and cannot build with wood versus metal versus et cetera, I'm only going by ISO standards, and these are generalizations. What the cities or counties may require might differ. These are just standardizations, not the law. ISO 2, joisted masonry utilizing concrete blocks or bricks to build load-bearing exterior wall. Typical applications might include small office and retail. In my world, I call those CMU blocks, by the way, so I don't call them cinder blocks. I'm gonna put the letters in there. CMU is what you might actually hear me call a cinder block, just FYI. Learn the vocabulary in case someone throws a little something at you. ISO number 3, non-combustible light steel, and the key there is non-combustible. Light steel frame walls with masonry fill-in. Typical applications of ISO 3 might be warehouses and manufacturing facilities for various very obvious reasons. We don't need things catching fire. Let me see, ISO 4, masonry, non-combustible concrete block, reinforced masonry with concrete or heavy steel load-bearing walls. Typical apps on this one, shopping centers, strip centers, office buildings, and warehouses. Pop quiz question. Is anybody familiar with EFIS? Anybody know what the heck EFIS is? Looking around the room. I think every single one of you know what EFIS is, and I'm gonna put it up because you do know what it is. You just didn't realize you were leaning on it. Let me put it up on the chat, not in the chat, in the window for you. Let me stop sharing that. Let me start sharing the other PowerPoint. This is again property management so that you know what you're looking at. EFIS is an exterior finishing system that you see on many, many shopping centers around town. Let me get down to this, one of the last slides of this 4-hour class. You hit undo because I just did something weird. And what it is has anybody ever noticed, let's just say at a grocery store, when you're walking past the sidewalk area, and you notice that someone is kicked in or even potentially crushed what you thought was the wall, but you saw styrofoam and a little mesh in there, but it looked like it was stone. Anybody ever noticed this before on these pillars that you walk past? Take a look down here. This is EFIS. We say EFIS, but it's EIFS, Exterior Insulation and Finishing System. There's a top coat that is sprayed on that looks like it's stone. It ain't stone. If you had a bad enough day, you could put your fist through that. Anybody who was pissed off can put a foot through that. It's real cheap, but it looks like brick. And one of the reasons, or stone, we love this is because if it does get damaged, it's pretty easy to repair. When people drive into our buildings, having to go back through actual masonry and brick, that gets expensive. So if you'd ever noticed it before, these are the pillars you'll pass up. And take a look next time you'll go to the grocery store, look at the pillars that you're passing up just before you get to the eave and the underhang. When you're walking in, that surface looks like stone. There's mesh, and then there's this little coat or layer here of styrofoam. And then there's some insulation, and then behind it would be the actual support in the beam. Very interesting structural stuff, guys. But you'll need to understand that even though these buildings, these ISO types may have internal structures that are meant to be fire rated, etc., they may be coated with stuff like this. And this allows us to really very cheaply finish off a building. So let me stop that for you. And as a matter of fact, let me back up. They'll just make this quick. Let me back up for you. My roof types. Roof types, roof types, roof types. And here we go. Just so that you're familiar with it, some of you have been up on the rooftops, right? A few of you been up there? Now, earlier in the class, a couple days ago, someone said that you can access the building through a roof hatch. And in many office buildings, that would be true. And even in some retail centers, that would be true. But let me tell you, that ain't always true. Sometimes you got to prop a ladder up against the building to get to the ladder that's hanging over the parapet wall. And so a double ladder to get up on the roof that you got to scale perfectly vertically is not a fun thing. But take a look at the different types of roof finishes. If you got a bitumen roof that's using pitch, thick oily byproduct, crude, and look up the word coking if you want more information on coking. But this is a byproduct of that. But we use it to put together layers so that we can put our roof up. It is old school. It has issues. It leaks, it stretches, it contracts. It does all kinds of stuff. It is unreliable and it is old. Then you got mod bit roof, modified bitumen, that works with different layers that you might hear someone call a built up roof or a BUR. Ladies, if you hear BUR, a mod bit roof, let me scroll down. This is what you're looking at. Whoops, right here. Bitumen or built up roofs or mod bit roofs. Let me tell you, when you're standing in a building underneath, you're looking up at the ceiling. You are looking up at the decking. Above that might be some rigid insulation. Above that might be that pitch. That's a bitumen. You might see another layer of cover board. And then we're going to go back and forth between ply sheets and that tar, ply sheets and that bitumen. And then over it, you might see a reflective roof coating like the one over here in this corner. That's a cool roof, a nice white roof that's got a reflective property to it and helps us not absorb heat. Love a building that's got that on top. If anybody ever wants to know what it's like to be under an old school roof or under a blacktop roof, I want you to go to the Houston Galleria Mall. I want you to go to where the elevators are in the finance center. Ride the elevator to the very top of the financial center and stand there. Has anyone ever been up there? It is about 200 degrees up there. And they don't air condition the common areas, just the office spaces. I never felt something so hot in my life. They do allow the heat to accumulate. They don't bother to cool it down. Cooling happens lower in the building. Let me put this back up because there were two more roof types I skipped over. Want you to see it. There you go. TPO, your thermoplastic polyolefin membrane. We just call it TPO or white top. You roll it out, meld it together, and you cover up your roof surface. And my favorite, ethylene propylene diene monomer. I just called it EPDM. And for those of you who are part of my generation, it is not EPMD, so please don't accidentally say that. It is EPDM. But this is also something that we enjoy because it can be cut to size and fits almost anything. This might go over some of the older surfaces, but those are your roof types. You need to know what you're looking at when you get up there. One more thing, when you get on rooftops, you can put a high heel through all of it. Be very careful. You can put a high heel through all of it. Now, I do walk rooftops in heels, but I also know that it's a tiptoe situation. I've been walking them for years. So just understand what you're looking at and what you're doing. Who knows what an expansion joint is on your freeway with freeway and highway construction? Everybody ever notice expansion joints on freeways? Grant, what's your expansion joint for?
That concrete is moving.
It does. So does your rooftop. It's at the highest point on some of your tallest buildings. Your buildings don't stand still, they sway. And that roof needs to be able to move and be flexible too. But the expansion joints will have a cover in case any of you end up on a rooftop. It'll have a cover and it'll be some long skinny thing. It's a small hump. Don't step on it. It's covering up the expansion joint so water doesn't get in the building, but you'll crumble it and crush it if you accidentally step on it. It's just a little warning from me to you. All right, going on with the ISO rating so we can get to the exam question. Number 5, protected steel and concrete with heavy masonry walls and floors, typical apps here, mid-rise, high-rise, office buildings and condos. And then 6, this is your exam related question. Fire ratings are what we're associating with the ISOs. Reinforced concrete, construction building frame and floors, and well-protected steel and concrete floors. Typical apps here, your high rises, your office, condos, and your parking garages. Who knows what the fire rating is on one wall of sheetrock? How long is it going to hold back a fire? Anybody know?
1 hour.
Yes, it's an hour.
Is it 2 hours or so?
Yeah, it's about an hour. But I've got landlords who have built out their suites and they've requested multiple layers of sheetrock for lengthier layers or lengthier fire retardancy so that it doesn't damage the whole building and there's time to fight the fire. I actually saw this work. This gentleman owns a property that's on Bel Air between Cook and Dairy Ashford. Star Cafe is exactly what this used to be, or what it was before was some other organization. It is now a Star Cafe. But the guy that had it before had a karaoke bar in there. Turns out the fire is what we call incendiary, which means it was suspicious. But because there were 4 hours of fire rating between that bar and the space next door, that sucker never went through. And I mean, it never went through. Sheetrock went all the way up to the decking and nothing went next door. Now it burnt up about 2 layers of sheetrock, but it had 2 more layers to get through before it went next door. If your clients are going next door to something that has the potential to burn up for whatever reason, they're working with live fires, they're hibachiing up in there, whatever, you may want to consider that construction if you're helping someone buy a building that works with a tenant in there that's got fire into place. Ask about that. How many layers of sheetrock do we have up in here? Because I had a landlord put in 4 hours worth of sheetrock just to stop this from happening. And God bless this man because the fire never went any further than the one spot that burnt up. He restored it, kicked them people out, and put a new tenant in there immediately. So I know that's extra. That's your property manager who's going to know that for you. Next, tools of the trade. Get you some. Who mentioned this earlier? Someone talked about these. I think someone mentioned this. Ceiling heights should be ascertained for all commercial property types. Municipal zoning regulations will specify minimum ceiling heights for certain uses. Agents should be sure that current use is in compliance. I would venture to say that contractors need to do this. Architects might need to do this. But I did put the tools of the trade up here on the side because what I want you to do is this. When you're doing property tours, ceiling heights matter. Just do. And you can't run a tape measure up a wall. So make sure your tape measure has a laser reader in there so you can see exactly how high that ceiling is. I might need a 55-foot ceiling. I might need a 20-foot ceiling. But the difference between an 18 and a 20-foot ceiling might kill a deal. So just make sure you get the right tools so that you can do your job, depending on if you're leasing or purchasing or selling. And again, quiz questions. Current use is in compliance, municipal zoning, ceiling heights. All right, now.
Something about
Go
sheetrock.
ahead.
Yeah, I helped and just was actively involved in the build out of the tenant for Montgomery County. So just to let you know, the Montgomery County Fire Marshal's Department, they make you schedule out when the fire marshal comes out just to check on the sheetrock that goes all the way up to the decking.
To the decking,
it must be
exactly.
fire caulked, not regular caulk, fire caulked.
Amen.
So they'll tear it all down and say you got to redo all that if it's not done right the first time.
Preach it. Who is that? Is that John?
Yes, that's me.
Hey, John, thank you for that. This is one of the reasons why I discourage people from getting involved in the construction process if you've never done it before, because fire rated sheetrock that only goes up to the drop ceiling is wasting everyone's money and it stops nothing. And he's right. It does have to have a certain kind of caulking too. Thank you for adding that in there. I appreciate that. All right, now this last one, common areas including stairwells. Yeah, they want you to look at that stuff, but it's interesting because this is a pet peeve of mine. I can't stand a nasty stairwell. I just cannot. There's something about it. You need to, if you're dealing with an asset, it needs to be clean from the front to the back, from the inside to the outside. I don't like when birds start nesting and living in stairwells because nobody paid attention to it. I will check them out. You also need to know if the public is secretly accessing your building because no one is looking at whether the doors, the emergency exit doors open. There are a lot of buildings downtown where people come in, take a tinkle, walk right back out. I'll tell you by address, a few of them that are like that. So I like my stairwells to be locked. And yes, let me go back to ISO slide 2 for Santosh. Hold on one second. But I do like my doors to be locked. I like my stairwells clean. There you go, my friend. I do, that matters to me. The other thing that we do when we run through stairwells is we test the fire exit signs. There's a button underneath the signs. You get your broomstick. It's called test. Touch it. See if the battery backups are any good. If the batteries aren't working, then the lights won't come on, but you would need to check that. So there's a lot of things to know about a property. And I check all this stuff with my clients when we're getting ready to sell. I need to know everything going on with your property. Where are we located? We are right here. All right, moving on. Cleanliness counts, and it really does. It might even stop a sale. Someone's urinating back there. Nobody's happy. Signs of dated furnishings and deterioration. This matters. Cracks in your tile, get it fixed. Tell owners either get ready for fights on price or get this kind of stuff fixed. And on top of that, this is a major trip hazard. This is insurance anyway. I don't like that. I don't want to see that. Fix it. So these are some of the things when you're walking through with your clients, you're getting ready to list and photograph. Some of these things need to be fixed before we put these buildings up on sale if it matters. If you're trying to sell in a hurry, fine, but make the price commensurate with what we're dealing with on the inside. Common areas, lighting. All right, this is one of, as well as the roof. You need to go back at night, period. I don't know who you're repping, the seller or the buyer, but you need to go back at night and make sure lighting is sufficient. And you're very welcome, Santosh. Safety is a big deal. And while no owner I ever met guaranteed anyone's safety while on property, that still crosses people's minds and they want them lights up there. So make sure that if you're selling the asset, that these lights are illuminated, that they're lit up. It's gonna matter. There's nothing worse than a dark property at 6 o'clock at night. Now let me ask you all something. Take a look at this office building image. Does everyone notice how bright that bad boy is? I mean, that is a beautifully lit office space. Can you see that? There is a process that some of you are familiar with, and go ahead and say it when you know it. Not every office building is lit that well. Some of these office buildings are yellow, dark, and dank. What is it that an owner can do to lighting to get it up to this level here where it's this pretty?
Upgrade to LED.
Paint it white.
There's a term we use called retrofit. So it's not going to just be about the bulbs, although I respect where you all were coming from, but we might need to retrofit. And retrofitting costs money, but has cost savings for future use. I will tell you that now. It may cost you thousands of dollars to replace lights in a building, but when you go back and look at the energy cost savings when you do upgrade lighting, so yellow buildings are expensive. They use electricity like no one's business. But when you've got these beautiful new systems, this is when your bills are better controlled for electricity. That older lighting is a signal for someone like me that electrical bills are going to be high. So retrofitting, yeah. Cheaper is cheaper than new fixtures and a switch over. Well, some people say, yeah, cheaper to retrofit than brand new fixtures. Absolutely. You do need to bid that process out. Email me if you want more information, but sometimes little things will give you clues about cost in a building. Lighting was one of them. Condition of the roof. I already went ahead and showed you some rooftops, but listen, if you're brave enough, go ahead and look at it. If you're not brave enough, if it makes you dizzy, if this is not your thing, please say something and don't go up there. That's one of my favorite things to look at. They're going to ask you if you're familiar with things like parapet walls and coping. Is anyone familiar with those terms? Parapet walls and coping. Just going to show it to you just in case, because I find that roofers mention this a lot. And you also need to know that this is a big problem on properties. Let me show it to you. If coping is not in place, you will see water leaking from walls that you don't understand when there's nothing wrong with window gaskets. There's nothing wrong with channeling. There is, let me show you right here. Stop share. Share screen.
It might be the edging.
There you go. All right, so parapet walls and coping. I think it's the next slide. There you go. You might have seen this, you might not have seen this, I'm not really sure, but if you'll look at this really short wall where my mouse is hopping, this little short wall, we call it a parapet wall, P-A-R-A-P-E-T, parapet wall. And this wall, a lot of times you'll see it's a little higher than where the roof actually is. That might be where you end up putting signage on top of a building. So it's raised up slightly so that we're not interfering with the tenant space. This is above where the tenant space is, because the tenant may have ceiling to floor windows. So this parapet wall might be, you know, where we put signage. But take a look at this thing that looks like a brown cap. This thing that runs all around the parapet wall, and we call that coping. It's a cover, it's a cap. And what it is doing is covering up the gap between the bricks over here on the outside and this surface on the inside. There's about a 4-inch gap there. And we do need to stop the rainwater from coming in. But on occasion, after a windy storm, parts of this coping may have been blown off or compromised. If you've got unknown water in the building, it may be because this got lifted in a storm. So again, coping and parapet walls definitely come into play. Just wanted to show you that because water is always a massive issue when it comes to building management and mysteries. Water is always a deal breaker. Too many leaks, we have issues. Am I speeding y'all through this too fast? You just let me know if I need to slow it down. Y'all all right? Awesome. Okay. Candace is like, yes, ma'am, keep flying. 20, you okay, my friend over there? Good. Melanie, hey, Melanie, thank you for all my emails. I appreciate that. All right, so here we go. Roof reports. It's a good idea to find out if the roof is a capital expense that's still being paid for. You need to find out if there's an active warranty on any of the materials or the labor. Find out. You need to know what's up with the roof. Are there any solar panels up there? Is the roof also used recreationally? You'll want to ask questions that might add value to what it is you're selling, by the way. Is it being used recreationally? Do we go up there to smoke or sometimes? Cell towers, thank you for mentioning that one, Chandra. She's absolutely right. I have properties where we had cell towers just on the grounds in the parking lots. Absolutely. Very good mention right there. So there's lots of stuff to consider, which is why you want to run around with your PM. And then here are some of your mechanical rooms. And mechanical systems might include some electrical, some plumbing, cabling. You might see some components of the HVAC system. components of certain elevator systems, and that might be hydraulic more so than traction. Escalator systems, maybe. Ask the PM for service records. You gotta get service records. You gotta find out how often does someone come out here and look at these systems? Give me copies of warranties and guarantees. This is just like you want the warranties on the refrigerator, the stove, the rooftop. In residential, we want it in commercial too. What do you have? Often those service records are right there in the door when you open it up to the mechanical room. They're right there in the door. So you definitely want to be sure to get any copies of service records so that your buyer understands the condition some of this stuff might be in. Nobody may have looked at it for eons. And there's some more electrical to look at. Now, this may go well above and beyond what you guys are doing, but I will say this, you need to find out how much power is being supplied to certain suites. The suites have 400 amps panels, 200 amp panels. If we're dealing with industrial, particularly manufacturing, but there are lots of things to know. Service records, again, need to be kept either nearby or in the property manager's office. Then we've got water shutoff valves. Now, somebody needs to know where that stuff is located. If somebody doesn't know how to find it, shame on them. And I really mean shame on them. You need to know where that kind of stuff is located. You need to know how to turn a building on and off. Somebody needs to, and you need to know that things have been inspected and serviced. Mechanical rooms should be marked with the word mechanical room on the door. You should be able to see that. Wastewater shutoffs, all this stuff. If this stuff has been sheetrocked over, that's a problem. You need to know that because you bought the thing and now you can't find what you're looking for. And if you think I'm making it up as I go, let me tell you, that tenant who had the restaurant that got the 90-day conditional opening while we were working on the ball valve for the fire line, that tenant was asking, do you have a riser system in the building? We were looking for the actual red riser pipe. We couldn't find it. Someone built a wall around the fire line. Who does that? They enclosed the fire line behind the wall. We actually had to take a gentle sledgehammer to the wall because we found the as-builts that let us know there's supposed to be a riser here. So it does happen. So make sure people run you through the building and show you major components, just in case the buyers start asking you questions as well. Again, find you a PM friend so that you can start getting familiar with this stuff. And I am so totally geeked up by this. I'm having too much fun. I don't feel well, but this stuff just really, I have so much fun with the building. I think I'm the anti-girl or something. I don't know. I love this. And one of my favorites is HVAC systems. Guys, it took me years to learn these things, and I do mean years to learn HVAC systems. Let me just ask you by show of hands and opening up of microphones, because the text really skims over this. Who is familiar with commercial grade HVAC systems of any type? Does anybody have experience with it? Looking around, I don't see one hand in the air. Hold on, let me get to the other panel.
I've
Oh.
installed one or two on a building,
Oh.
but that's it.
What is it?
I had a couple installed on a building I had, but that's it. I paid
That's all
for
right.
it.
John, John gave us the thumbs up. What do you have, John?
Similar, just a couple installs, brand new installs of 7-ton units for retail spot.
I am not going to make you all learn this because we are at the end of our curriculum and we have yet to just do an exam review and we're going to conclude early as promised, but I will show you something. HVAC is not a simple thing. At the least, make sure that you do acquire service reports. You need to get them. A building is worth nothing if it is not properly cooled or heated. Tenants won't stay where they can't tolerate a temperature. So I'm going to show you something, but not require you to understand it. I simply want to show it to you. So let me share one more time. And again, at your own discretion, contact your respective boards if you are interested, because what I'm showing you is this property management class. There you go. And when it comes to HVAC, the systems in a building are crazy. Lots of different things to see, but your understanding needs to at least be minimal. And it starts here. I'm going to ask you all to take a peek at this very simple rooftop. There we go. This is what many of you will see when you get up on a rooftop of a retail building. You'll see these big boxes. Those are your HVAC units. Those are usually what we call package units or RTUs, your rooftop units. Very simple stuff, my friends. You may hear people like me reference packages, package units, RTUs. You'll hear me say a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm talking about the same thing. Put that camera down and pay for this class. Put them cameras down. I'm gonna get y'all. All right. Then you're gonna hear, this is what I want you to get familiar with. Go and take a picture of this because you might need to study this. At your homes, you have what's called a split system. Half the system's outdoors and the other half is inside your home. The part that is outdoors is the part that's got your fan in it, your condenser, all those are outside, your compressor outside. But what's inside the house, you've got a refrigeration system inside plus blow motors, etc. I'm going to take you back one screen one more time. All of those components are all in this one package. One package contains it all. Heating, blower motors, all kinds of stuff. Now let me show you the inside of the package unit. It's all in there. We got everything you need. Compressors, condenser coils, blow motors, capacitors, all of it's in the one package, but let's continue. These are what you will see. This is what I think John and Benjamin witnessed going up on top of the buildings were certain units. People would try to steal these. I've had people actually push them off rooftops. I mean, push them off of a rooftop, damage my roof, and leave an imprint on the concrete where that thing hit the ground because they stole the whole unit. You may need to cage your systems. I'm not even playing with you. All right, you ever want to walk through a property? For those of you who are leasing up property and want to know how many package units are servicing one particular suite you want to lease, who knows how you do that? There's one way you do that. You count up thermostats. What was it, Benjamin? Is that what you're going to say?
I would say count the thermostats and count how many big holes you have up in the roof.
Exactly. But if you have a drop ceiling covering up your plenum and you can't see that, you count your T-stats, ladies and gentlemen. So if you ever want to put a smart, wise ass of a property manager or leasing agent on standby and kind of tone all that snickety snarketyness down, one of the things you can ask on a property tour is, how many tons of air does this unit supply? I can get the answer, but I can almost promise you I've never shown a property and had the answer. Let me get you back to the screen so you can see these systems and then get in this class so that you understand what you're selling when you all are selling these big old properties. There you go. HVAC systems. This one you can go ahead and take a picture of if you want to. I keep talking about tons of air, and I mentioned this, I believe, maybe in the first section. Tons does not reference how heavy the system is up on the roof. Tons references how long it takes to melt a ton of ice. This is a long-standing set of vocabulary, but this is what we use to determine our British thermal units. Many of you know them as BTUs when we're looking at cooling something. In my world, we don't cool things, we want to absorb heat. Excuse me for that, it tends to go black on its own. Other things to notice, solar positions. This is why I mentioned northwest and southwest sides of the building. It just depends on where we are, winter versus summer sun, scrolling past it so you don't sneak pictures. And this is the other thing to note. Radiant heat coming in through the sun on the east side, it rises in the east, sets in the west, excuse me, on the west side of the building. You're getting reflected radiated heat there. Heat is radiating straight into the building. Plus it's been sitting on your rooftop all day. This is why air conditioning matters. But now let me scare you. This is your office building. This is a cutout wall of what the side of your office building looks like. And when you are running through it, Lucy just went, I am tapping out a commercial. I ain't got nothing to do with you people. It's too much information. Let me tell y'all something. When I told y'all I can shut a building down, I will cripple somebody. Don't play with me. Let me tell you about air conditioning. There are many systems that run an office building. You will have a cooling tower, that's water up there, and you will have a chiller system down at the bottom of a building. These two work in tandem to move water through the building, and they are moving chilled, refrigerated water through the building. And I'm gonna take it down because you need to come on in this class. The point is, you need water to cool an office building. Many people don't consider that. And if the cooling tower is in bad shape, let me tell you how bad this can get. This is why we need the maintenance records. If the cooling tower is not in the parking lot on the ground, and it is indeed on the top of the building, and the cooling tower has an issue and the water line that provides water to the tower bursts, where do you think the water's going? Thank you. Straight into your asset, straight into the building. I know y'all thought I was going to say another word, straight into your building. I just did that to wake you up, straight into the asset, y'all. That's what we call that sucker. But there are things to know about a building, and water is needed to run the air conditioning. So it's a big component there. And if the chiller or the cooling tower is up there, you need to make sure that thing is either working, functioning properly if you're repping the seller, or you need to get reports proving we maintained it if you're repping the buyer. One breach of that system, and I'm telling you, all that modified bitumen up there, the TPO, no good. You are ruining roof systems. It is potentially running down the elevator shaft. Don't forget, the elevator penetrates the roof. If those things are close enough and that water finds its lowest point, you're ruining the elevator shaft. There's so much to know. And I'm so sorry I'm running y'all through it, but the book glazed over some stuff I think you just needed to know. So with all that said, it is only 3:30, and that was the last slide for the day, I believe. So where we're at is, let me see, let me make sure, but I believe we're at a break. When we come back, yeah, we're doing exam review, and I am doing an early release just because I'm not feeling that great. Katan, let me look and see. I don't know if I'm doing it or not. Hold on, Katan, let me see. I see y'all back here at 3:45, and you said 12:17?
Yeah, that's what shows on Texas Realtors.
I might be. Hold on. Yeah, it is. I am from 9 to 1 o'clock. You gonna join me?
I might do that, yeah.
Come on in. I'm gonna tell you now, there's nothing like the property manager's point of view for understanding buildings. You want to sell them and buy them, understand them. And that property management class will just give you an idea of what you're looking for when you're out there. That's all.
That's good. Thank you.
You're welcome. 12:45. See you back here at 12:45. John, how are you in there? You hanging out? You doing okay? Awesome. Thank you for your contributions, by the way. Hey, Gerald, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, just whenever you have time, I'll probably ask you a couple of questions. So
Gerald, come on. Well, as long as you're getting some questions answered and some good information, I know you've got a very inquisitive mind.
yeah, I know. It's I'm helping out with a building, and it's like kind of a lot of this stuff you're talking about today is really helping out because it's
Good.
very familiar with, like, about getting documents. Like, I mean, the people, they don't have anything. They have nothing. They don't have any of their records. So
It's very tough. It's not the easiest thing to do. I enjoy it. I'm not gonna lie, Gerald, I love it. But you really have to love it to
Yeah.
do it. No, you do. You have to love it. I won't keep you for your break. I just want to make sure you're okay because you hadn't asked me anything all day.
I know. I've been quiet. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hey, John. Min,
Yes, I'm here.
hey, what is the title of the class that you see on 1217? How is it written?
On HAR's training catalog.
Yes. Uh-oh, did I lose you? You still there?
Oh, I'm on HAR training catalog, and the title is Property Management Webinar, Tenant Representation. It's listed with Mike Mengden, and I don't think yours is on HAR, but I do
No.
see you on Texas Realtors
Texas
on
Realtors, yes.
1217.
Yes, sir. Mine is, it's Commercial Property Management 101, Apartments Not Included. And that's the one that's being taught on 1217, ironically the same date. But it's through Texas Realtors, so you can go through any other board you'd like to take that class. Any board that said that they're offering it.
Sure, got you. Thank you.
And again, yeah, we're not doing any apartments because management, that is an actual residential issue. So there you go. But thanks for letting me know, because I was about to jump someone. All my classes are copywritten and trademarked. And when people accidentally use my name, I accidentally call my attorney. So thank you.
So Mish, this is John again. Oh, you're there. Okay. Yeah, because I went to your Commercial Leasing 101 website, and I see that you. So is the Commercial Property 101, is that a combination? Oh.
Your microphone muted, like right when you started your question. What were you asking?
Okay, I got you. Yeah, the Commercial Property Management 101 that's on Texas Realtors, is that a combination of both your Commercial Lease 101 from your own website, your broker's website?
Yeah, and I'm the broker and the school owner. It's the same thing, but let me just make this distinction. When I'm in here, I do not promote myself through my school. I always promote myself through Texas Realtors so that I do not abuse this platform that I have here. You know what I'm saying? Because it would be very abusive because I do a profit share here. I keep all my profits over there. So it's the exact same materials. If you want to read course descriptions, absolutely. But I always encourage people to sign up through the boards, just to be fair. Did I get you what you needed, Min? I wasn't sure.
Yes, we're good. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, thanks.
Mish,
Yo.
yeah, I'm just going to mention to you on a personal note, in the TACS 1 last month when we took that, you was mentioning that Jordan Belfort, the wolf, the Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, yeah.
It just so happened I was in New York on business, and I was an angel investor in the Steve Madden Shoe Company through Belfour's company that did the IPO on that deal, and went to the big IPO celebration party at a hotel that night and met Jordan Belfort and Daddy Farouche, and they're just as crazy as the movie showed them to be.
Oh, no, really?
Probably worse.
Oh, wow. Oh, I wish you'd have said something on that day.
But I had a real good friend that moved from Houston to New York, and she got involved with a lot of different companies doing IPOs, and she happened to get hooked up with Oakmont Securities, and she did 3 or 4 of those deals, you know, with him or for him, however you want to say it. And that's how come I got to go to the party and everything. Plus, I was an investor. I mean, a small one, trust me.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was
Very cool.
they were quite the characters.
Wow, up close and personal. Okay, well, thank you, because I was like, does anybody really act like this? But that was really them, huh?
She says they were on their good behavior that night.
Ooh. And I cannot possibly imagine. Oh, wow, I wish you'd have said something that day, but thanks. Thanks for that update. I'll see y'all back here at 3:45. Couple more minutes and we are back from break and on to exam review. Ready to come on back? We got a couple of minutes to go.
Hey, Mish, when you ask about HVAC, if you're involved or if you're familiar with it and building mechanical buildings,
Yes.
I live with it on a daily basis.
That's your thing?
No, that's my husband's deal. But, I told you last class, probably don't remember, but he ran building maintenance at one shell in the shell building at OST for years, but that's what he does. And then his specialty and his license in. So I just schooled him while ago. I was like, you don't know what these are. He works from home. I'm showing him slides. I'm like, how do you know what this is? He's like, don't even.
Oh, that's too funny. You know what? I am a girly girl. I love my jewelry. I love my nails. I love to slap on makeup when we can. And I am a girly girl. But I gotta admit, all that stuff just fascinates the crap out of me. So escalators, elevators, rooftops. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with me. I really just enjoy building systems. And so any opportunity I got to learn, I was in.
Well, it's pretty challenging for sure. And the elevators and then the data centers and the chillers chilling the equipment for, the data centers. I mean, it was a crazy thing.
There's so much to know. I'm actually unwrapping an old gift to myself. I hadn't seen this in years. We are officially, I guess, back from break anyway. Let me go ahead and stop the share because we're going to be doing exam review in just a second. It's you might try Metro Text and see if they signed up for it. I don't know. And I apologize because I should learn what it looks like from a student point of view because I never see what it looks like for you guys to sign up. But how about stay in touch with me via email or even call? And it is an HAR. It's definitely Texas Realtors, but give me a buzz and I can find out which associations are signing up for it. Clearly HAR has something else going on that day. So they're not going to offer it, but other boards do. So I'm unwrapping something. Does anybody have any idea what might be in this big old piece of newspaper? I've had this for years and I haven't unwrapped it. Jesus, since maybe 2000 and bike helmet, a watermelon, right? It's about as big as a watermelon. I have not unwrapped this since 2011, maybe 2010. It's been wrapped all this time. Let me pull it out.
A vase.
This is how nerdy I am when it comes to building management. My engineer knew I wanted to know absolutely everything about everything. How else do you get to learn the building systems unless you show up with the contractors? Show me what you're doing. What's up? What are we out? So he comes to me and he says, hey, Mish, you want this? And he brings me the biggest light bulb ever. And I'm like, whoa, what? And he goes, this is your light bulb from your parking lot. I'd never seen anything. My head is not this big. Look at this thing. This is like the biggest bulb ever. Nicoy is like, you are such a nerd and I can't stand that I know you. But I have had this thing forever. It's just a light bulb. And I really just wanted to see what they were like from the systems. How big are they? These things cost anywhere from 50 to $100 a bulb, guys. I'm like, show me what $100 looks like. So I've had it for years and it stayed wrapped up. I thought I would do something design-wise with it. It ain't done nothing but sit up in some tissue for a decade. So there you go. But my point is this: anytime I had an opportunity to learn something about something on a property, even down to the light bulb, I was there for it. So if you ever have a chance, find out what they're doing. Somebody says, hey, you want to get in this cherry picker and get up here and see this pylon sign with me? Getting the scissor lift, getting the cherry picker and going up there and see what they're doing. And yes, it's called a cherry picker. Come on, guys.
Is that bulb still working, or is that just a burnt bulb?
That's the burnt out bulb. Can you see the filament and everything burnt out and gone? Yeah. But I thought it was cool. I know, I'm a nerd. Look at Nick Way.
You should also bring that up in your hemp class too, by the way.
What, this?
Yeah, for the indoor ones.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I never look at you. But this, I don't know. I'm just such a dweeb. Anytime a contractor showed up, I was there. And I just wanted to see what they were doing so I can learn. And that's where my scope of understanding and experience came from. Let me see what we're paying you for. That's it. Let me set this down so I don't break it. I mean, that sucker's been wrapped up for 10 years. And yes, it did make it through the hurricane. I'm so ashamed of all the stuff I managed to salvage. That bulb came with me. Hey, very cool, very cool. I will tell you all a very small, short story, but during Hurricane Harvey, being rescued by boat, I don't understand some people sometimes, but one gentleman decided that he needed his lotion available so he could lotion himself on the boat. Honey, we are in stormwater 6 feet deep, and we are floating on top of actual stop signs. And this man had a backpack with the last of his stuff in it. He had the lotion sticking out so he could lift his underarm and go pump, 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 and then lotion up. I had never seen nothing like it in my life. That was one of the dumbest things I'd ever seen. Y'all ready for some exam review? Get your cell phones back out. Send yourself a text message. Let me put that back up on screen. Let's see if we can do this together. Let's see if we can do it together. Hey, honey. All right, I'm assuming everybody's in there. 20, you all right? All right, let's go. What factors might determine the kind of information a buyer will seek? Absolutely. It won't let me show correct, but all of the above. Absolutely all of the above. For some reason, it's just not letting me show you the correct answer. Let me get that out of your way. There you go. So let me ask you this. When you answer this one, answer it based on the suggestions from class as opposed to your personal feelings. So based on what the book was telling you, your better choice would have been, true, we should review municipal zoning maps to verify permitted uses of space. One more time, we're going to go by what the book was saying you should do, even if it's contrary to what you will do. Oh, we're just not agreeing at all. Here we go. In general, they transfer property rights, so they don't always include mineral rights. Leasehold is not a deeded thing in this case. And then there's air rights are definitely not up to the clouds. We're not up to the clouds on that one. A lot of switching and swapping going on. Our correct answer was C and D. What can buyers do to verify tenant data? Require the completed estoppel documents and independently review all leases. We'll talk about that later, but independent review of all leases absolutely happens. I've never been involved in the transfer, in the acquisition or disposition of a property where somebody did not sit down and look at every single lease. So for the purposes of your exam, what we're looking at here is it ensures the seller has the authority to sell the property in the first place. You can't see it because it's all gray now, and allows the agent to discover potential conflicting ownership interests. It may not have anything to do with the deed conveyed, the type of deed conveyed. All those places, absolutely, they should all have those documents. I did that backwards, I think. No, I did that right. How many fire ratings do we look at? There we go. There were 6. There were 6. All right, let me see what we got. Boop. There we go. Next one, I think you got 1 or 2 more. Nope, that was it. That was your last one. And then we're going to verbally go through the other portions of the exam, but don't forget, photograph this if you need me to email you the sample offer memorandum if you didn't catch it in the chat. Some of you, for some reason, couldn't see it or download it, so just email me and I'll send it to you. Perhaps not today, but I'll get it done. And if there's anything that you do need help with when it comes to building systems and operations, I'll help you to the best of my ability, as long as you double check with your broker before you do anything. Also, thank y'all. And I will, oh my God, I'm so getting a new mouse, Benjamin, now that I know that's what it is. I'm so getting a new mouse. Let's hit the verbal ones really quickly, although I have no doubt you guys are ready for that. But don't forget, tomorrow is your day. Tomorrow is Thursday. And then we just come back in here. We just do a quick another section of class, some review in the beginning, some review in the end. We go straight into the exam. Don't forget, go get a second device, please. Just in case we find out that your device won't let you take the exam and stay on camera at the same time. Test day is not the day to figure that out. One woman decided she would take the risk and she had to schedule to go into the office to take her exam in person. She was not a happy lady. So again, go find that second device and just be ready just in case. So what's true of commercial real estate leases? Is it true that the statute of frauds is always applicable? Is it true that TREC requires lease terms to be greater than 1 year? Is it true that they must always be in writing? Or is it true that They must be for a period greater than a year and in writing to be enforceable. That last one there. There you go, a year and in writing. I guess I need that light after all. Here we go. What do we know about leasing commissions? What do we know about leasing commissions? They vary. Exactly. Payout structures vary and the rates vary. Tell me what a single net is. Base rent plus what expense from the landlord? Absolutely, it's taxes. How about our triple net? What are it's base plus. There you go. CAM taxes and insurance, taxes, insurance, and maintenance, just depending on which alphabets you like. Absolutely. I do appreciate people who use alphabets because repairs and maintenance is R&M, and we just love RTUs and AHUs and all kinds of stuff. And we love our alphabets in this business. Let's keep going. If a building has $250,000 in expenses, and I've got 6% of the building, how much of those expenses am I paying for a year, for the year? Yep. Well, some of y'all are on the cheap end, but I get it. It's 15,000 for the year. Let's see. What is our other name? Let me ask you this. Pass-through expenses are another name for what type of expense? CAM, common area maintenance, absolutely. Y'all are ready for this test. I swear to goodness, we don't even need to do this at this point. Okay, when we're looking at effective rental rates, and all we did was simply average out all the months and just get a basic average, there's something we didn't consider when we did it that way. What is the thing we didn't consider? TVM, time value of money. Absolutely. We didn't look at the time value of money. Let's see. Which of the following things might be considered abatements? I'm giving you free rent for 2 months. I'm gonna pay for you to move here. Let's see, tenant improvements that the tenant is gonna reimburse to the landlord, or just A and B? There you go. Please don't memorize those alphabets. That is not what is on this paper. Rights of first refusal are often associated with the tenant's desire to do what? Expand, absolutely. How do we determine a tenant's base monthly rent? What ways can you figure out their base monthly rent? What can you do? You can multiply a number by a certain number. What can we do? Leasable square foot by rental rate, absolutely. That's what we're looking for. Leasable square, the rental rate by how many square feet we are leasing. Don't forget, there's a slight trick to this question because they'll also say you can look at the rental rate for the month or you can look at the rental rate for the year. They would both be correct. So you could look at a monthly rental rate or you can look at an annual rental rate, and still be correct there. Who are the parties negotiating a sublet agreement? The tenant and the third party, exactly, or the potential subletter. Y'all just finished day 1 and day 3, like nobody's business. What real estate concept will let an investor know whether a building is achieving its maximum value? What are we looking at? Highest and best use, absolutely. And who gets paid first when we're looking at developers, equity investors, and lenders? Who gets paid first? Who gets paid last? Lenders first? Yes. Who gets paid last? The developer, right. And it makes sense. Developers got to pay everybody else who put skin in the game. There you go. Developer gets their money last. It actually makes a lot of sense. This is one of the silliest throwaway questions on the exam, but what kind of loan are we using to acquire the land and develop it? I think I read Terrence's lips, an A&D, A&D loan. All right, so if a lender is only going to lend 60% of the loan to value, what is the developer's likely method to make up the difference? How might they split up the remaining percentage? They might pull an equity partner in to put in how much? 35%, and maybe the other 5% they put in with their personal income. That was a direct quote from part of your material. So don't memorize that as Bible. It's just that it is how you might answer this question. So if there's 60% loan to value, we've got an outstanding 40%. You might have an equity investor take care of 35%, and the actual developer will go ahead and put in the last 5%. Again, that's Benjamin with that walking around money. I'm gonna go walk around with you, Benjamin. Certificates of occupancy issued for buildings or individual tenant space. When do we get them? Once the building has been completed, exactly, and is in compliance. It's completed and in compliance based on its intended use, exactly. And when you see the question, it'll make sense. It's not something we need to drill into you there. Let's see. If we're looking at feasibility, what do we need to consider? Do we need to consider anticipated expenses? Do we need to consider loan costs? Do we need to also consider the money we expect to make from rents and from selling it, or all of those things? Yeah, in this case, oh, I like the way Raymond did that. Yes, yes, yes. All of them, absolutely. So just for those who didn't catch it all, we need to consider how much it costs to build it. We need to consider loan costs. And then we also need to consider how much we think we're getting from rents and what we're selling it for. And that's for feasibility. CMAs should be conducted for clients and should consider what? Do appropriate and useful usefulness for the intended purpose, the investor's intended purpose. Should the CMA also consider, let me see, hold on, I'm going to reread this question because it is kind of one of those wonky ones. The CMA should be conducted for clients incorporating which of these as a basis for the search criteria. So it's too much question for the answer. So again, is the building appropriate for its intended purpose? Is it developed in conjunction with your client's needs and wants? Are the results well suited to the client's making an informed decision? Or would it actually do all of these things for your client? It would have done all of those things for your client. We didn't go over it because it's one of those things that you would have known innately. Texas cities are going to adopt zoning ordinances when? When are they going to adopt zoning ordinances? At their sole discretion, absolutely, at their discretion. If they want to, absolutely. Grant, when they won't, yes, at their discretion. You said Houston? Never. Let's see. If a building is built on leased land and is at the end of the leased period, expect to see when they're looking at that improvement? Can they expect to see a lack of maybe recent upgrades, deferred maintenance, Brady Bunch-like appearance, or all of those things? Yeah, pretty much all of it. 100 years into it, yeah. I got the coolest stuff to show y'all tomorrow. It's not even, I think it's tomorrow. The coolest stuff. Employment trends are important for owners of what types of properties. There are multiple parts to this answer, but go ahead and just put whatever it is on your mind. Employment trends, look at y'all, just shame. Office, retail, multifamily, industrial. See, if I said medical, would that have applied? With this all of the above mess, I'm gonna get y'all. Let's see. The difference between, and I'll be specific. What is the median number? What is the median number? You don't have to give me one, but yes, it's the one in the middle. Catan put 2,400. I know I goofed that one up all day long, my friends. But if you line them up in order, it is the one in the middle of the series of numbers. Yes. Never live it down. Let's see. Property comparisons should not include which of these things? Should you compare property based on location? Yeah. When you're comparing properties, should you compare financing terms? Potentially, yes. How about economic characteristics of the property? Or should we compare ownership structure? No, we're not going to consider ownership structure when we're running comps. There you go. And one more. This is the last one. Free government website that's got lots of great, useful demographic data. The census website, who said FEMA? Raymond? Now I know Raymond's playing. Cincy, I'm gonna get you. All right, guys, with all that said, it is 4:10, a little earlier than usual, but I'm gonna tell you that I appreciate your participation today, and I appreciate y'all giving me the break this time. So have a wonderful afternoon. Bye, Sharon. Bye, Niquay, Raquel, Gwen, Gail. Thanks, Stephen. Bye, guys. Bye, Ronnie. Bye. Bye, Chris. Bye, Joe. Y'all have a great day. Hey, Gail, I'll see you later. Bye, Grant. I really appreciate you being in here. Gerald, don't forget them questions. Matthew, I'm cutting your check, my friend. Don't forget, I'm sending you your check for co-teaching. Thank you.
Thank you.
You too. Thank y'all so much, Chandra. I've appreciated all your input, guys. I think I'm going to go medicate and sit down. Miguel and Jim, y'all have a fantastic day. Diana, I'm clocking out a little early. I just ain't feeling that well.